Hi, North Star family. Happy Passion Week. Welcome to Monday of Passion Week. We're excited you're joining us. Today we get to what is called the triumphal entry. It's recorded in all four of the gospel accounts. But today we're going to focus in on John and consider how Jesus does present himself as the king, but maybe not in the way that we expect. So, background, Jesus, things were kind of at a fever pitch. Tensions were high, the Passover was near, and the religious leaders had decided that if Jesus showed up, that they wanted to arrest him. And now we read in John 12, Jesus does start making his way towards Jerusalem on Monday. So if you read with me verses 12 through 19, it says, "The next day, when the large crowd that had come to the festival heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, they took palm branches and went out to meet him. They kept shouting, 'Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel.' Jesus found a young donkey and sat on it, just as it is written, 'Do not be afraid, daughter Zion. Look, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt.' His disciples did not understand these things at first. However, when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things had been written about him and that they had done these things to him. Meanwhile, the crowd, which had been with him when he called Lazarus out of the tomb and raised him from the dead, continued to testify. This is also why the crowd met him, because they heard he had done this sign. Then the Pharisees said to one another, 'You see, you've accomplished nothing. Look, the world has gone after him.'" And so as Jesus makes his way into Jerusalem, the people are clearly recognizing him as a king. They're reciting some psalms like Psalm 118 that was clearly connected with the arrival of the Messiah, this deliverance figure that would bring freedom from Roman oppression was the idea. And then also waving palm branches in front of him. That was a way to herald a king. And so as they shout Hosanna, which means save now, they're seeing Jesus and thinking that his entry means that they would be free from this earthly kingdom that had oppressed them. And so this looks like it's going to be an encounter with the religious leaders where he overthrows them and asserts his earthly kingdom. But he doesn't do that. Instead, he comes riding on a donkey instead of a war horse. Jesus, when he presents himself to the religious leaders, it's not to be a powerful ruler to overthrow an earthly kingdom, but instead he comes on the same day that the paschal lamb, the lamb that was going to be sacrificed for the sins of the people, was presented to the priests at Passover. Jesus said, "Yes, I am going to bring deliverance. I am a king." But that deliverance was going to be greater than they could have expected. Jesus said, "I will be that lamb, and now I'm presenting myself to you to be the lamb that would be slain for our sin." And so the people seem to somewhat grasp it, but they don't really. Later in the week, some from this same crowd would be the ones that are yelling, "Crucify him," because Jesus didn't act in the way they expected. And so as we think about our expectations, do we ever do that? When Jesus doesn't show up in the way that we think, do we give up on him? Do we think that because deliverance or healing or change doesn't come in the way that we think, that it's wrong? And do we distrust that God's plan is better and greater than ours? And so that would be my thought for you today. As you read through this story, think about what are ways that God might be moving in a new way that even if I don't understand it now, are greater and for my good more than I could ever imagine. We see that because Jesus presented himself as the suffering king for us, that things turned out so much better than we could have imagined. And so as we think about any other circumstance in our life, let Easter be the reminder that God's plans are better than ours. So thank you for joining us on this Monday. I pray that this week is a great week of reflection for you. And we can't wait to see you on Good Friday and on Easter. Love you guys.